Ready. So, I'm going to raise the front roller off the table. Now, pardon? I don't care about it. It doesn't exist. It's not on the table. It's just up in the air. I see what's going on. I don't care right now. So, this light bulb went on. So what we do is raise it up. Now the cutting unit can pivot. All the weight's on the back roller. So I'm going to in-feed and touch. I want that stone just to flicker. I'm going to zero it out if I can. Go to the small diameter end. In-feed my difference, which is 6. So what I've done is if that roller was parallel, I'm going to start grinding here. I'm going to pretend like I've already ground off. If I come in the difference on the small diameter end and then touch the same over here as I did there, that means I'm taking material off the large end to match the small end. So now, where's my 16? That's why I had my hands there. Okay. Yeah, I'll come in this way. There is absolutely no reason for that.
Some of them were really loose, some of them were really tight.
Yeah.
Never mind.
I got it. Okay. And you can see where that wore. That should be back.
Kind of looks bent, actually, this.
Yeah, it could be. Didn't move, I've infed. And it may have something to do with the rear roller brush. Oh, I want to go the other way. So right now I want to bring the reel down to touch.
So you're going to suck that roller up.
Yeah, that's right. So now I'm hitting. Okay, so now John Deere says go down hard and make your fine adjust coming up. So I want to touch the same as over here. Keep in mind what I do here, up and down, is going to affect this side. So it's not just touch, touch, and go. You can't do it. Right about there. Drop this down a quarter turn, come back over here. First time on our grinder, you got to square and parallel everything out. Our speed comes in when we do a touch-up grind. So that's close. Come over here, in-feed my difference. I'm pretty close. I'm within 1,000. I'm touching just a little bit lighter, but I'm within 1,000th of an inch. I could just do. I'm going to leave it there because when I tighten this up, it moved already. It's magic, huh? Yeah, we're close, but I'm not going to worry about it. Now, what I've done is I've used that rear roller to parallel the reel shaft to the travel of the stone. We've already checked that it's going to go straight across. But using the rear roller, parallel the reel shaft to the travel of the stone based on the diameter, the readings, the difference in diameter of the readings. I'm going to lower it down. Now both both rollers are on the table. A lot less. If I had still a lot of rock, then I would loosen here, loosen this bolt, and this is our eccentric. So what that's going to do is going to make the roller go down or lower. Yeah.
If your diameter is 6,000, why don't you only go 3?
good question. Anybody got an idea? Nobody knows. And I had the same question. I go, why? Till I put a dial indicator on the head off of the table, fixed point. Do we want to make you think or just plug and crank? So we plugged and cranked. This is a diameter reading, but we're only grinding off the radius. So if I go up 10 on the dial, the head only travels up half of that 5/1000th of an inch. It's already there, so you don't have to think. Yeah, it's basically half of the travel. So by taking, in this case, 3 off of the radius, or 6 off the diameter. Okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to clamp it down. Because if there's any play on the rollers, and what we do is we're using pneumatics. So I'll flip the switch, and we don't have any. Oh, there it goes. I don't want that to fall. I don't want that in there. Come on. And there's just a little bit. That's okay there. Our clamping system is we're going to clamp the cutting unit down and back against that rear roller. And I was close enough on our setup that I didn't mess with anything. Where I am. If I raise this up, I'll double check it. That's what I'm going to do. Oh, I lowered the stone, that's why. Come back up. You know the old saying, measure twice, cut once. The first time on, I will measure and measure and set and reset till I know I'm right. See, something moved, and it's usually a slop in the bearings, or whatever. So I'm going to try. And take it out here.
He's looking for the recliner
I still got that rocking. I'm going to go the other way. I can't use the long, so I'm going to use the short, and I'm going to reverse the process. I'm going to raise the back roller off the table. Okay, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to clamp it down. So if there's any movement in here, I'm going to take it out. What did I hit? Oh, okay. That's all right, Jack. This is just a shield, so I'm just going to make a slight adjustment. Problem solved. Touch, in feed, touch and 0. And I think I use that a lot in those instructions. Okay, so we're off on the front roller. So I'm thinking that's 13. Got a 13. And go ahead and just set it down. I'm looking for got a, what's it, a 19? Probably will. But what works well is What works well is a spark plug wrench for a backpack blower or weed eater. You know, it's got two sizes on it. That fits right in. On a greensmower situation, this nut is all the way up, and you can't get a socket in there. All right. So you can see, and I'm just forcing the roller down, and then I come back up. So I want to make my adjustment. And it's touchy. Very touchy. So what I'm going to do is snug this up down below, because it'll move as soon as I start to tighten it. That's where I want it. Now it's going to make a big difference when I go the other way. Zero it out. Leave the small end. In feed my 6. Well, I'm hitting at 5, so I'm going to call it good. It's 1,000th off. I'm going to drop it. Going down doesn't matter, going up matters. But I want to. So I took it all out there. So our culprit was in the front. But what I want to do is I want to, now that it's down, I'll check it again just to make sure, because I did move the back a little bit. Now, I'm going through all this because obviously yeah, I moved the back. It was 5/8 and I just put that on. That's good. I'm just going to lock it in. I'm just used to using my tools. So I'm going to start on this end grinding, come across, and then as I infeed, and moved a little bit, but you know what? It's starting to touch at 8, so I'm not going to worry about it. It's 2,000, so. And it's not a greensmower. If it was a greensmower, I'd get as close as I can, but we're probably cutting 3/4 of an inch, ½ inch with this. I'm still within that 10,000ths fudge factor. Okay. Alright, I want to fix that. 9/16. I had it, didn't I?
Yeah. Ratchet wrench.
I had a 9/16 ratchet someplace. I stick it. 9/16. Oh, I put it back in there. I put it away. Silly me. Okay. 5/8. 5/8. 5/8. 5/8. This. This jam nut goes against the, it is 9/16. couldn't get that on over the. So what I'm going to do, this jam nut goes against the handle. And usually if you go too tight on this, you loosen that jam nut to the handle, and everybody wants to tighten that jam nut up against the plate. But in fact,
against the bottom of the handle.
slow down, Larry. There we go. So the position of this should be just like, okay. All you want to do is loosen it and tighten it, and that's all you need, because it's going to hold position. We got to come from this side to drive. Take this off, loosen that up. I'm going to move this to the back side. Oh, come on. Got a hard spot in it. You want to grab the tops, the large spade goes to the top. Go in and give it a twist lock. There we go. Alright, what do we got to drive?
A bunch of sockets there. It's over here too.
I don't need a socket. It's a female spline. That'll do it.
I've seen that being used last year.
And then we've got an adapter. Got a screwdriver. Come on. There we go. Have a short extension, 3/8 drive, short extension. Got her off, or is she still rolling? Okay. Then I'll watch my language. Yeah, this one right here. Well, don't tell him that. So we're just going to line this up. Let's do this. Is that 3/8? Let's switch the two. Put the swivel on here. And you want it as straight as you can get. It doesn't have to be perfectly straight. That's why we put this universal in there. So it. Okay, are we all in agreement? The table's parallel. We used the rear, lifted the front roller off. Rear roller's on the table. We used that to parallel the reel shaft to the table, and we reversed it and raised the rear roller off. Used the eccentric and the front roller to parallel the reel shaft. We put it all down. There's no rock. So we're good to go. I'll just set this down there. Here, I'll let you. Don't run away with these. You can put them on. Are we ready? No, just, yeah, I guess they'll hit, won't they? Just put them to the back. Just don't get right behind it. Okay, we have stop arms, we have 2 reversing bars, 1 pivots. We use pneumatics in 110 volts, so that's good. You don't have to go all the way down. So when I turn the carriage on, all right. That's to turn it off. So I have to be down, or I have to turn this on.
Is it plugged in?
I don't know. Is it?
There's a cord back there that's not.
That'll make a little bit of a difference. Yeah. Right behind the machine, under that wide plate, there's a piano hinge, and there's a plate that swings down, and all the valving is attached to that. So we're using a rodless air cylinder, and it's got a slide. There it is, right here. Goes back and forth. We have a latch pin that locks it in, so we can regulate the speed. And what's happening is we're using air pressure to push a piston inside that rodless air cylinder. That slide is attached to it internally with some flexible strips that actually move out of the way of the bolts that hold it together. So, you see where we are. And by regulating the speed, okay, right now we're pushing air on this side, and we can regulate the speed by regulating the discharge air out of that piston. So I can stop it, or I can make it go fast. So we travel back and forth. We have reversing valves on the bottom, so it dumps the air out, tells the valving in the back to change direction, shoots air into pilot valve, and either goes that way or it goes that way. And we just kind of get an even travel back and forth. I'm not going to worry about the audio.
Maximum speed?
Just in time, you just develop a comfort zone. If you go too fast, it's not grinding much per distance traveled. Right. Yeah. You want. Well, actually, it won't get too hot spin grinding because we're, spinning the reel. There's like a fan cool. And I try and get like an 8 count. But what we want to do is make sure the stone goes off the reel, off the end of the reel, so we set our stops. Are we off? Not yet. Just ½ inch. I get down and I can't get up. Ah! Thank you. That's fine. That's fine. It reverses pretty quick, so we're not losing too much time. Once we get that, then we'll start the reel spinning so we can regulate the speed. That's a 0 to 90 volt DC motor. We have one electronics piece in there that converts AC to DC. So once we do that, now we know I'm going to take more off of this end, so I don't want to bring the stone up until I get down to the heavy end. First of all, I'm just going to take a light grind. Pardon? I always start off in the middle. It says 0 to 600, that's an RPM. Maximum, we're getting 600 RPM. There's an adjustment down there. I can change that to whatever I want. The difference being is, okay, I'm going to get to the speed next, but I want to say something about this. When we're grinding a reel, we're 6,000 cone shaped, and through my experience, if that reel was 15 thousandths cone, I'd be grinding on the left-hand side heavy and lighter until I get in the middle and nothing the last half of the reel. If that reel had no cone and I was just touching it up, I'd be touching all the way across. So that's 0 cone, all right? And this is another in the office 6-pack of beer type of thing. Scientific? No, it's not, but it works every time. So if it's 15 thousandths cone and I grind from the heavy end into the middle and nothing on the far end, if it's no cone and I'm grinding all the way across, that's 0. Okay, 15, 0. So I just deducted 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. I broke it up. So I take a light pass, and you didn't see it at first. I wanted to check to make sure it was okay. So I'm 6 thousandths cone, so if I'm 0 and 15, I should be the first. Seeing it peters out right there, right around that 5 thousandths area. That to me is a feel-good thing. I'm going to be within a couple thousandths of being perfectly cylindrical. From this point on, we're watching the campfire. So, back to the speeds. I can speed the reel up. Maintain the speed. I'm going to get more grinds per revolution. But you can hear it, it just doesn't sound right. So I'm going to slow it down. If you're using tapered roller bearings, there's about 1,000th, maybe 1,500 play in those bearings. And it'll start this elliptical whatever. So I just want to see, I've gotten rid of that rare type of noise, and now it's pretty even all the way across. You may get on one machine, and right now I'm at like a little less than 400. Use those numbers as a reference. Another machine, it may be 300, the same RPM. It's how that electrical controller board is set. So now we know that stone travels back and forth. So the end result is those blades are going to be straight. The other thing is, even if I screw up and put a 5,000ths cone into that reel and grind it, I'm going to grind the shape of that reel to where the bottom of that reel is parallel to the bottom of the fixed roller. That means when if I get my bed knife up, set it at 2,000ths clearance, I know that grind line, which is created by the reel and the bed knife, is going to be parallel to the fixed roller. When I set my height to cut, I go from the front roller over the bed knife to the rear roller, adjust the height to cut, and I'm going to parallel precisely the position of the rear roller to where it's parallel to the front roller, parallel to the bed knife. That's our total parallel concept. That's our parallelism, I should say. And it's not our concept, this is our process, I should say. All this parallelism started way back in the very first reel. That's how they designed everything. 90 degrees box construction, rollers are parallel to the reel. That's what you want to achieve. I'm going to shut everything down and I'm just going to check it because I'm a firm believer in not doing more work than I have to. What I'll do is I'll bring my hand at the bottom and check for a sharp burr. I know it's going to be over here, But what I'm concerned about is over here. And right on the very end, it's still rounded. So I want you guys to get in here. Just use the open fit. Don't go sideways. Just go to the bottom of the reel and pull your hand back. You can feel, just open face and pull back, and you'll feel that burr.
Stops right there.
Right. But I'm grinding over here. But I have to, okay, when we parallel that reel, get it back to a cylinder, we may be, remember the 5 things. Reels are going to be parallel. They're going to be straight. It's in a cylinder, but it's not sharp all the way across.
Trying to get yourself
So you can go ahead and feel it. Now, if that was a Greensmore, I would check every blade. I would visually inspect it and touch every blade to where I know it's sharp all the way across. Almost.